Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the emergency briefing that I called. It is your host, Lady Victoria, and today we are going to be talking about the future of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen or may have seen some changes and some massive movements in the market. And so I want to give an analysis on exactly what's going on and the different events that have shaped what's going on, especially for crypto investors and new investors who are coming into the market space. I think it's really important that people understand how this market moves. It's very different to the stock market. The fundamentals are different. And right now, cryptocurrency is an unregulated space. So although it's got billions of dollars inside and floating around in it, it's still a relatively new space and it is unregulated. So there's lots of changes, lots of innovations that are working, not working. And so it's normal and expected for a market to kind of move and change. But I just want to thank everybody for being here today. I really appreciate everyone who's taken the time out to come here and to sit down with me and just talk about a few things that are going on in the market, why it's happening. And so what I have for everybody who has shown up today is a special gift. I've put together a checklist for understanding the fundamentals of cryptocurrencies. So a lot of people go into crypto and have no idea what coins does what, how it works, why it's valuable, why it's not. And this is why and where a lot of people lose money in crypto. And a lot of people will have experienced this recently. Maybe they've bought particular currencies, even Bitcoin. People who bought Bitcoin in December when the market was rising and rising will have made a loss right now. So there's a lot of people that feel burnt. And what people didn't understand is that there are fundamentals to when we buy, what we buy, and why we buy it. So I've created a checklist, and I think this is going to be it is a really good tool, really important tool for anyone who's looking at buying cryptocurrency or who already has some cryptocurrency. And you want to kind of use this tool to just make sure what you are investing in passes the test, okay? So for all of you who are on here, stay till the end. I will give you details on how to access that. And I really believe that's going to be valuable to everyone. So I just want to say hello to Michelle, hi to Paula, Jacqueline in the UK. Great to see you guys. And Cindy as well, hello to you. And thank you all ladies for being here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let's crack on. So we're going to just talk really about what's going on and the future of Bitcoin. So where we are now and where we hope to be, or what could potentially happen in the future, because we don't know. Everything right now is all about speculation. So we'll move on to a little bit about me. So I am Lady Victoria Walker. I am the UK's #1 authority on cryptocurrency and digital assets. I'm also the author of the BitMogul Guide, which is the beginner's guide to trading Bitcoin. And I'm also the founder of BitMogul Academy. And we've basically trained people. I've trained over 100 students in the past couple of months on how to store, invest, trade, and hodl cryptocurrency. So the word hodl, or you see hold, is an acronym for hold on to dear life, because a lot of cryptocurrencies, when we watch the market and how it's moved, a lot of people exit or sold when Bitcoin maybe reached $600. Only if they'd have known that, if they would have hodled and held on to dear life, they could have had, 10 grand a coin. So it's a massive thing in cryptocurrency that when we buy coins in cryptocurrency, we hold them because they will have, or some of them will have, some value in the future. Okay, so let's move on. So let's just kind of have a look at why did I call this emergency briefing? Well, as I mentioned before, there are many factors happening, and the start of the year with cryptocurrency, we sort of between December, where Bitcoin went up to $20,000 a coin and then dropped to the lowest point was six and a half, something around 6.5 grand. So there was a massive sell-off. There was a lot of things that people didn't understand, like why was Bitcoin going up, and then all of a sudden, why did it just collapse and has the bubble burst? So we are going to kind of just talk about that. I've just seen Quentin show up. Hello, Quentin from Canada. How nice to see you. And Julie and Kia and Daryl as well. Nice to see you guys. So yeah, so why did I call this emergency briefing? Well, all of us investors and all of those who are looking to invest or invested will want to understand why the markets have dipped. And so we're going to kind of review that. I think it's important that we all, especially those participating in this ecosystem, know how it moves and why it moves and what fundamentals are moving the market, so that you're better prepared when you are holding or trading. If you are looking to make a profit, you kind of understand what is going to make the market go up and what is going to make the market go down, so that you can position yourself to profit. And to be honest, you can profit when it's moving up, you can profit when it's moving down. And these are some of the things that you can and will learn when you start trading. So on January the 17th, 2018, Bitcoin dropped below $10,000, almost 50% below its December peak in December peak of 20,000. The cryptocurrency market basically entered a mass sell-off, and all the cryptocurrencies was affected by it. Now, the reason why that happened is because where you have cryptocurrency, you have smart investors who are actual traders. They are investors. They understand how markets move. And in December, throughout sort of last 2017, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency gained so much attention. Like, everybody was talking about it. Everybody wanted to get involved in it. And so what happened was a lot of new money came into crypto. We also had the institutionals come in with the futures market, which started in December. So it really rallied up the price. People were excited. The community was elated. Everyone thought Bitcoin had arrived. And then once it hit a peak, which it was overvalued at 20 grand, it was really overvalued. And it was a lot of people who didn't really understand the markets and crypto. So at that point, there was a lot of people who cashed out when it hit 20 grand, because that's when people sell off. They know it's hit like its peak, and then it will start to decline. And that's just how the markets move and how trading works anyway. All stocks, all equities, all shares move up and down. That's just how the market goes. It's just with everything. And the only time it will stop is when it's dead. Okay. So this is what happened. And there were kind of a couple of main drivers that contributed to it. And the main question a lot of people were asking, me especially, was like, has the cryptocurrency bubble burst? Like, is this it? You know, Bitcoin, as I said, went down to its lowest to $6,000 over $6,500. People was questioning, has the Bitcoin bubble burst? And it's a good question to ask. So I've just seen Cindy say, is she the only one without sound? So I just want to just double check you guys can hear me. Can you just please confirm you can hear me as I speak? Just type in the chat box and just let me know. I know Cindy said she can't hear, and I just want to make sure everybody else, while I'm speaking, can hear. Okay, so Nelson says he can hear me. So Cindy, I think it might be on your end. Paula says she can hear me. Yeah, okay, so thank you guys. Thanks for letting me know. We do have technical issues at times, so I'm glad everyone can hear me. So yeah, going back to it. So has the cryptocurrency bubble burst? Well, we don't know. And that's me being real. We do not know. And I think the only way you can answer a question is by kind of looking at why certain things have happened in the market and predict based on what's happened in other markets, what's happened in the past, and how that might impact the future. And that's really all you can do. So today, that is what we're going to do. We're going to look at what really has happened. Okay, so key events. So first one is regulation. 2018 is like the clampdown on ICOs and cryptocurrency exchanges worldwide. And the reason being is because 2017 saw so much of public interest. And remember, Bitcoin cryptocurrency isn't controlled by any regulatory body or government or bank. And it does have, even though it's a very, very small market at the minute. So if you look at sort of the stock market, which has like hundreds of trillions of dollars, Bitcoin is not even at $1 trillion. Like cryptocurrency is not even, it's so small. I mean, a lot of you guys that are on here don't realize that you are the early adopters. Like, you know, it's such a small market and it's set to grow. But I don't think people really realize how much it would grow in 2017. And especially it caught so much attention from regulators, from banks, from governments, because they didn't take it serious at first. But when they saw this mass adoption by the public, then they started to have, you know, think about, okay, we need to put some controls in, which is neither good or bad. And I think when we become investors, we need to look at everything from a neutral perspective. Okay. Regulation is neither good or bad. It just is. It depends on how they regulate, because the thing is, if they over-regulate, they will kill the industry. And what I see and what we know about blockchain technology is that every government and every sovereign nation wants to be the leader in the new blockchain tech revolution, because it is like the fourth industrial revolution of our time. Okay, this blockchain and cryptocurrency will and has and is changing the world as we know it. So, you know, big heads and government officials have to get involved, because otherwise it may get out of control. How they get involved, and providing that they don't restrict our economic freedoms, which is the right to property and the right to own private property and the right to trade, I think we can see something great. But this is really what shook the market. South Korea, there was news about them putting a ban out on cryptocurrencies. The US, Texas was just issuing everybody with cease and desists. Companies collapsed because of it. So that has had a massive impact on the market. Hi, John. Nice to see you there. So the recent hacks on cryptocurrency exchanges. So this year alone, we've seen one of the biggest hacks in terms of the history of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, in terms of the value, happened. And we'll go into that a little bit. And hacks have a massive impact on the actual ecosystem, because you've got to remember, like, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is based off trust. It's the whole ecosystem is about trust. And the moment that trust is breached, investors lose confidence and they leave the market. So hacks in this ecosystem is extremely important to notice when they happen, because they have a massive impact on the overall market and how much money is flowing in or coming out. And then another key event which happened about 2 weeks ago, which again had an impact on the crypto markets, when you look at the kind of correlations between how the markets are moving, is the central banks rise in interest rates, which had an effect on the stock markets, which fell. It was actually 1,500 points, but it fell. And so as money moves out of the stock market, it would also automatically have an impact in the crypto. Again, investors that are in crypto potentially will move money out of crypto and put it into buying cheaper stocks. So the whole money market is so interrelated. And I think for those of you who aren't maybe well versed in how the money markets work, they are so interconnected. And what happens, whether it's regulation, whether it's environmental, whether it's social, political, is all going to have an impact on how much your cryptocurrency is worth. So regulation. Now, there was so much hype about Korea, South Korea, China. And I'm just going to tell you guys something. China has banned cryptocurrencies as even from like when before I was fully involved, like back in 2013, 14, 15, every year they ban cryptocurrencies and then they do a U-turn. So it's not really unfamiliar when China says they're going to ban it. The problem is that you can't ban cryptocurrency. And as the years go on, they realize that. And the reason why is that even if they put in restrictions, what they saw is that their brightest brains that were involved in cryptocurrencies were just moving to different islands and taking their business elsewhere and still doing it. So they were still involving themselves in crypto, and also to enforce cryptocurrency and try and put an outright ban. It's just impossible. And they know this. So the regulators kind of now have to look at what they can do in order to protect customers and why they're actually doing it. So South Korea, this was massive. Everybody was talking about it. The market massively dropped because South Korea trades like 2 billion in crypto a day. Like the one is one of the biggest trading pairs for BTC in crypto. So a lot of money comes, about 5%, but still it's a reasonable size of the market. And so to lose that, or if that market's a bit unsure, a lot of money comes out of crypto. So in January, the South Korean authorities decided to only allow trading in real names of bank accounts. So they didn't ban it. They did not ban crypto exchanges. And that was the fear. And that was kind of why sort of from January onwards, or leading up to this, the markets started to become very bearish and start to fall because people didn't know what the outcome was going to be. But the outcome was that basically they just wanted more transparency. So the rule aimed to remove the chance of criminals or children, because again, it wasn't regulated. Anyone could do anything. To be able to trade cryptocurrency and bring this in line with the KYC and AML laws, which like know your customer and anti-money laundering obligations, which all banks do. So that was really the outcome of the regulation. And a lot of people were so, the market was in a frantic frenzy. People were selling off because they didn't know. And that's just how markets move. That's just how it goes. But that was the outcome. The Financial Service Commission said that the guidelines also caution banks about offering cryptocurrency exchanges without careful consideration. So a lot of it was about banking, because again, I don't know if some of you know, banks were not allowing people to remove or exchange cryptocurrency for fiat. They were banning credit cards and all sorts of things. And, there was just things happening at the beginning of this year. But this regulation's come into place. And really the main reason and the honest reason why government officials and regulators want to do that is to combat money laundering and tax evasion. We can go into other aspects of why, but the main thing that they're pushing on is money laundering, financing terrorism, and tax evasion. So that was the outcome of South Korea. In the US, members of the US Congress decided to draft legislation that would protect forms of cryptocurrency being used for illegal activities. But the US definitely want to help cultivate mainstream adoption, which is really positive because I think everyone's been a bit unsure of how the US is going to deal with cryptocurrencies. And we do know that there is some talks between sort of Europe and US about actually making virtual currencies a form of security. But by doing that, the cryptocurrency communities are saying that they will stifle the growth of the industry. So there's this big kind of debate on how to regulate it without kind of stifling the industry. But I think the US are very, very much adopting and accepting and kind of embracing cryptocurrency a lot more than I think. And one of the key findings with that is the Senate of Arizona passed a legislation for taxes to be paid in Bitcoin. So we know where this is going. As the regulation comes in, it's really going to be mainly about taxation and also potentially about theft. Well, taxation and theft. Well, taxation is theft, in my opinion, but taxation and being able to have a legal right to obtain your cryptocurrency should you fall into legal problems, or, should you need to pay the courts. So with a lot of these things, it's not necessarily about ownership, it's about being able to control. And so what it seems like with the US is that they're actually all good for the technology, they're embracing it, but it will be done in a manner where they will have control over knowing who has what. And I'm sure you guys in the US, some of my US people, you guys have already seen what Coinbase has done with issuing the IRS forms for taxation and things like that. So I think that's what people need to be prepared for, and understand that it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a good thing. It just is what it is. The three things that one of the three things you can't get away from is death, or the two things is death and taxes, as they say. So that's where the US stands now. The goal of the legislation is to prevent cryptocurrency from being considered as a form of security or investment. And this has been done through the Cryptocurrency Fair Act. The goal is to not, but it's like there's been so much pushback from the US to say, well, we want to classify it as something, but does it fall into being a security? Now, I just want to explain to you guys what security is. Now, fiat money is a security. So your dollar or your pound is a promissory note, which is a financial instrument. And all financial instruments are negotiable and under the legislation of the financial laws, or under the legislation and Congress about how those securities can be used. And this is why money, how it's being used is regulated, because it's a form of security. Now, cryptocurrency may act like one, but it isn't at the minute. And one of the things that the cryptocurrency community and campaigners and advocates and people even in Congress are trying to do is get legislations that prevent cryptocurrency from being considered a form of security or or investment, to protect the transfer against taxation, and to ensure that federal governments do not interfere with cryptocurrency. Okay. And one of the reasons, even the Federal Reserve, their CEO explained that the real issue is that they cannot control cryptocurrency because it's not owned or created by them. And really, they would be breaching the people's economic freedoms if they were to have an all right sort of stance on controlling it. But what they can do is say if it threatens, the state in terms of terrorism or money laundering, then they can get involved. And that's pretty much where it's at. So we're going to see how that plays out over the year. I personally think that the overall consensus is going to be adoption. And I believe that the banks and all these other institutions are going to release their own cryptocurrencies. That is the next stage. So what they're doing, or what's happening now, is that whilst they're not 100% keen on Bitcoin because it's totally unregulated, it's totally kind of out of their control unless they buy a huge amount of Bitcoin. And so, there's theories flying around, and they are theories, but this is how markets move. Often market makers will create situations or scenarios where the price drops, so people get scared and sell, and that's when the big whales start to buy. And I think most people in trading kind of know that's what's going on. The markets drop, all people who are not traders or who are just speculators exit the market, and then the big institutionals come in and buy. They buy at the lowest price, and that is one way that the market can be controlled or used. Now we're going to just look at Europe quickly. Now the Davos World Economic Forum, I'm sure a lot of people who follow anything to do with economics, with business, what's going on in the world, what are our big challenges, what are our problems, will have seen or heard about the World Economic Forum. And Bitcoin was a massive cryptocurrency. And I just wanted to just also distinguish, guys, when I say Bitcoin, there's a Bitcoin with a big B, which is the technology. Every single cryptocurrency runs off Bitcoin, the open source code. And then there's Bitcoin with a small b, the currency. So anyway, going back to, and I always want people to understand that distinction between Bitcoin and Bitcoin, okay? So when I talk about Bitcoin, I talk about the technology, the blockchain that was created. And the World Economic Forum are fully behind Bitcoin, the technology, and are really, championing it, which I was quite surprised. Surprised in a sense that I didn't think they would give it as much positive feedback in such a global open space, because then it's going to just trickle down and people and investors are going to have a bit more confidence. But again, the main topic is that they suggest regulation for cryptocurrencies would help build public trust. And many nations are looking to take advantage of this disruptive innovation. So while the regulations for cryptocurrencies are still evolving, Sweden is already planning to launch its own digital currency. So as I was telling you guys, the nations, the countries, the different like US and different places around the world are going to start creating their own cryptocurrencies. Like we're going to see cryptocurrencies for pretty much everything. You might see Coca-Cola coins. You will see the blockchain and the current market evolve and interact into the actual existing current market. And this is why this time right now is probably the most exciting. One is exciting, the most exciting time. But with anything, you're going to have your good and you're going to have your bad. And as a real investor or trader, when we have either or, you can profit from, but you just need to understand like how this market moves and how it works. Okay, so we're going to just look into the recent hacks, because this has been a massive thing. And hacks on cryptocurrency, as I said before, it breaks trust. It breaks complete trust with everybody in the market. And what we find is that people exit, and especially when lots of money has been lost. So we can see some headlines here. There was an Italian exchange called BitGrail, which lost 170 million, which happened a couple of days ago. And then we also had CoinCheck, which was in Japan, a Japan exchange, which basically experienced the biggest hack in cryptocurrency ever in the history of cryptocurrency. The last hack that we had, or the cryptocurrency space had of this magnitude, was the Mt. Gox. And that basically crippled the cryptocurrency market. Now, there's a big difference, because back then Mt. Gox handled 70% of the volume of cryptocurrency, but it did literally cripple the market. So basically what happened at the beginning of 2014, MX Gox basically went bankrupt. So if February that year. So after a year, it had been going on for a few years. It had been one of the biggest exchanges, but it basically went bankrupt and everybody lost money. Now, I want to show you very quickly, like how this market moves, and basically by looking at how the charts and how the markets evolved, you will understand how this industry moves. Now, if you look here at this space right here, yeah, this was when the news came out that Mt. Gox has had a hack, and you can see a massive dip. So the market cap was over 10 billion, and it literally dropped down to about 5 at this point here. And that kind of carried on. The market sort of, it went up and went down, but it never recovered for about a year or more, to be honest, a year longer. And, at its lowest ebbs around here, it was like 5 billion, and nearly half of what it was before. It fell as low as 3 billion. So you saw how big the Mt. Gox event had on Bitcoin. And this happened in 2014. The difference obviously was back then there was one major exchange that held a lot of the volume, whereas now there's like many exchanges. But what you can see is it fell below 3 billion, but then 2 years later went up to 740 billion as a market cap in 2018. And that was kind of where we were we weren't there, but it was coming up in sort of March last year. So as you can see, the markets moved, like it went from 14 to 3 to 740. And that is how Bitcoin works. And if you don't understand that, if you're not kind of, if you're new to this market, what you will experience now will make you panic, because you'll think, well, I'm losing money every day. But this is what I talk about HODL. Hold on for dear life, because imagine now, right? You've bought Bitcoin. Let's just say it was, I think back then it was like $600 and it went to $300. A lot of people during this period here sold. They sold at $300, right? All these people in this bit here, they sold, right? Well, not all of them, but they did. And this is what happens when the market moves. Now, the smart people, what they did is they bought in this part when the people that were selling really cheap, they bought. And guess what? They bought coins at $300 that went up to 20 a year later. So again, one person's kind of downfall is another person's rising, and vice versa. The hack had a massive impact, but there were a lot of people that profited from it because they bought when the coins were cheap, and then it went up. And this is like the mindset and psychology of how investors think. Okay, so again, I'm going to go to, I'm going to take this off. So again, I'm going to go to the market movements that happened after CoinCheck had its hack. And it was actually a little bit further. Let me just put this, because this circle's not on it correctly. But when CoinCheck was hacked, this is just recently as well, you can see that this here is where the news was released. This was around the 16th of Jan. And so you can see like a massive dip. And that's basically, again, the same thing that happened. Again, right here is when during December, when we had this massive uprising, people were buying, and then it kind of plateaued here. And now we're going kind of down through a downward trajectory with cryptocurrency. But that is okay, because it doesn't necessarily mean anything apart from that the market's going down. And the philosophy and principle is whatever goes down must go up. Whatever goes up must come down. And that's just how it is, no reasons why, it just is what it is. Okay. So again, another issue that we had was central banks. The central banks raised their interest rates for the first time since 2008. And the stock markets dipped about 1,500 points because of it. Now, how is this related to cryptocurrency? Well, again, all money markets are connected. So if the stock market is losing money, and people are taking their money out of stocks and shares and putting them into bonds, which are a bit more safer, because that's what happens. Whenever the Federal Reserve says, okay, we're going to release, or we're going to rise interest rates, and we're going to stop, giving out cheap money, that means that investors cannot leverage anymore. They can't loan money to make money on the stock market. So they're going to start to lose money. So what they'll do is put money into bonds, government bonds, more particular, because they are a safer and guaranteed investment. And so they pull money out of the stock. And that's kind of what happened on the 2nd of February this year. A couple of weeks ago, it literally, the market crashed. No, it didn't crash. It had a massive correction. And that impacted the cryptocurrency market. I mean, 361 billion was wiped up, and I'm sure it was actually more than that. It went into the trillions. That was wiped off the Dow Jones. And I personally, I watch this market quite a lot. I see what's going on. You understand that the quantitative easing program. So for those of you who don't know, quantitative easing is when a central bank creates more money. And so what happens is when they realize that the economy is burgeoning, like, for example, the American economy right now, in terms of like unemployment, it's at its lowest. Wages are at its highest. But what that does is that puts banks at, well, they know that, okay, there's too much money in circulation. And when there's too much money in circulation, what we have is hyperinflation, which means that the money you have will be worth less. And this is the whole argument around cryptocurrency, because we know that happens. And the way the current system works is that in order to stop hyperinflation, they have to stop printing money. And they have to start lending money. And so what they do is they rise interest rates so that banks aren't incentivized to lend out money, because people won't borrow the money anymore because it's too expensive. So we're kind of seeing this year that the Federal Reserve is going to basically start withdrawing. So what's likely to happen next is investors are going to turn to bonds and pull out of the stock market, leading to a further decline. And I reckon this is going to really get peak sort of in August. So I'm definitely going to, and I only say that because one of the world's top economists who's predicted every single economic correction or downfall is saying August, and he's been right on probably 12 occasions. So I say August as well, given where we're at. Because cheap money and lending comes to a stop, it grounds our economy to a halt. And we're kind of seeing this already. So we've seen, especially here in the UK, we've seen like airlines like the Monarch go bust. There's other companies are kind of H&M. They've started to wipe off 170. They're closing 170 stores. And this is what happens when Federal Reserves rise interest rates and there's uncertainty in the market. Businesses have to now start saving money, and they know they can't lend anymore. So they have to start making reductions in the business. So I think what's likely to happen is investors look at diversifying between precious metals, cryptocurrency, and other physical assets. And I really feel like this is the way the market's going to go, because every time there has been a market crash, people usually go to to precious metals like gold and silver. Whereas now with cryptocurrency, you can now buy these assets backed by cryptocurrency. So you don't necessarily have to hold the physical gold. And you can buy crypto, which is going to be more accepted online because we buy things online. Like with gold, I mean, it's not necessarily easy to sell something for gold online, whereas with crypto it is. And if we get to a point where the market's so, it's retracted, where the job losses are coming in, wage growth comes to a halt, unemployment starts to rise, then you want to make sure that you've got some sort of physical assets or some assets that are actually going to appreciate and not depreciate. And this is why people get into crypto, because we kind of see how the banking stuff works. And we know that another crash is going to come. And so holding crypto not only is like investing in assets for the future, but it's potentially a way of being able to make payments or actually obtain value if and when the banking system contracts again. So my conclusions really are the crypto market is going to remain bearish. And what I mean by bearish is that it's probably going to keep declining. And it's going to be moving on a downward trajectory. It might go up. I mean, we've had some positive news over the last couple of weeks. But we've just had a lot of bad things happen as well, which is shaking the market. Investors' confidence has been lost, but I don't really think it's as bad as it has been in the past. And I think there's just so much potential, especially if the regulations come in. So I know this space is going to be regulated. And I think people need to get prepared, including myself, for that, because, that's really the only way to control anything is to regulate, try and put it in line with a security, which I think that's going to be a massive battle, because it's really not money. But what is money? Again, the question we always need to ask. And then I think that when regulation does come in, there'll be a lot more confidence from investors, like a lot more confident, especially from larger investors. And this is where we're going to see the market like boom. So we're not even at a 1 trillion market cap. And, you know, if you look at like the stock market and the shares, they're like a $400 trillion market cap. Bitcoin's not even at, or cryptocurrency is not even at 1 trillion. It's like right now, probably about 500, half of that. So even if we could get to like, say, 2 trillion in capital, which I think is very, 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 very realistic, you're going to see Bitcoin go up 4 times. You're going to see all the cryptocurrencies just rise. And that's kind of what we need to be preparing ourselves for in the next coming year or two. Now, I've just got a screenshot, and I hope you all can see this, which is this is the market cap of the cryptocurrencies back in 2016, exactly this day, 2016. Okay, so look at Bitcoin. It was $397. Ethereum, $4.65. Ripple, it was less than a penny. Litecoin, $3. You know, you look at all these coins. This is exactly 2 years ago, guys. How much these coins were worth. And then you fast forward to today, and you look at the growth of the market, and I don't see, this is not slowing down. This is not going to slow down. This market can only move forward because it is the advanced level of everything related to store of value, store of information, and exchange of information on the next level, which is away from decentralization and into, away from centralization and into decentralization. So you look at this, and I want you guys to really think about this, right? Back in 2016, if you would have bought $500 of Dash, yeah, and I'll just go back to that screen because this is real facts, yeah. If you would have bought $500 of Dash, let's look at Dash. It was $3 something on there, $3.64, yeah. Dash today, Dash coin, and I like Dash coin. It's a very, very strong cryptocurrency. Okay, it's here now. Dash went up to $584. So your Dash, if you would have bought 500, would have been worth 70K. You could have sold that for 70K today. Monero, $500 of Monero would be worth $155,000 if you sold it today. $500 of Ethereum would be worth 83K today. So $1,500, 2016, 2 years ago, 24 months ago, would be worth over 300K today, people. And this is, you know, the money's great. You know, the money is wonderful, but I think people often say, why is this happening? And this is because the technology that drives these currencies and what they stand for and what they do and the teams behind them are extremely strong at extreme amount of value. And this is what the market dictates. So we've seen where coins were 2 years ago and where they are today. So the big question is, what will be the next breakthrough currencies of 2018? So I kind of want to get your feedback, guys. And first and foremost, I just want to find out from you guys, based on what I've told you, does that give you a better understanding of what's going on in the current market and why the market is moving that way? And do you feel like it makes a lot more sense as to what's going on? So I'd love to hear your feedback, guys, on if you found it valuable and if you learned something around why the market is moving the way it is. So let me read some of your comments here. I've got, who have I got coming up? I've got quite a few of you. I'm so honored for you all to be here. And a lot of you have stayed, like most of you have stayed on all the way to the end. So Cindy's saying later. I have another comment saying fully understand. And I've got a few more coming up. So yeah, people, I mean, parents are saying, yes, it does. I think we have to be mindful of how we invest and what we're investing in. And really what's important is, one, understanding the markets, and then understanding, okay, what position am I going to play? Am I going to go as a position trader? Am I going to hold on for dear life, long term? Do I want to make profits every 3 months or 6 months? And knowing these things will determine how you are going to buy and when you're going to sell and when you're going to take your profit out. And so I want all of you to kind of really understand this, not get panicked by the market, but see opportunities when the market's like this. Anybody with any sort of Okay, guys, I'm back and I'm hoping that you guys can hear me this time. We've just come back online, rebooted the system, And I just want to hear if you can hear my sound. So please do type in the box and do let me. Okay, brilliant. Sebastian says the sound is back. Brilliant, guys. I do apologize about that. I was saying before, you guys couldn't hear me, is that, technology is so great, but sometimes it can be a pain in the bum. And I know you guys, a lot of my big moguls who have gone on the journey with me, you get it, like it happens, and, 'tis life, but we keep it moving. The show must go on. So going back to what I was saying is, what will be the breakthrough currencies of 2018? And the real question is, we don't know. Hi, Marla. Hi, Kia. Hi, Hamara. Terrence, everybody. Good. Everyone can hear. So, it's really hard to say what the breakthrough currencies are going to be. But what we do know is that 2018, 2019, 2020, we're only going to see growth, especially when the regulation comes in. And really, as investors and people who want to adopt this currency, when I use terms investing, I want to use this term loosely, in the sense of an investor is somebody who puts not even necessarily money, because you can invest in so many things. You can invest into a relationship, you can invest into friendship, you're an investor. But when it comes to investing into cryptocurrency, yes, the profits are great, but really, guys, it's about understanding why this is important and why currencies, especially digital and virtual currencies, are important to you, to me, to our children, to our future, because the system that we have at the minute, it doesn't work. And I'm not saying that cryptocurrency is, the best thing. Well, it kind of is the best thing that we've had in our financial revolution, but I'm not saying it's the be all and end all and that it's going to replace money. I don't really think that, but I do think it's definitely going to be something that stands along it, and it's going to have value against the US dollar and euros. And it's really about learning what cryptocurrencies we are going to look at and adopt and use as a nation. So, guys, I want to talk to you a bit about, if you want to participate in my Big Mogul group, where we train and coach. And we've tailored this a little bit different, because when we first started this course, we looked at kind of some of the opportunities and stuff that were out there, and we've changed the model a lot to look more about the fundamentals of the different cryptocurrencies. So not so much Bitcoin, but the other coins, and looking at which ones are likely to grow and why. Like, what are the fundamentals to these cryptocurrencies? Why are they growing? What is going to be the next, Monero of 2020? What can I buy today that in, 2-3 years time will bring me back a good return? Even though we can't really predict anything, we can definitely speculate. So here's what you'll get with Mastermind Group. We will do a specific week on investment in Bitcoin planning. Everybody needs to have a goal, especially when it comes to the altcoins as well. Because the good thing about altcoins is that you don't need to start with a lot. Like with Bitcoin, you're looking at $8,000 a coin, but there are some cryptocurrencies that are like 0.000, like the really, really small pennies. And we want to look at like why would this currency grow? So we'll go through in a course with an action plan, an investment course with an action plan, and it is fully training around cryptocurrency. You'll be able to ask specific questions whenever and wherever you want. There's plenty of time for Q&A in our group, so people who have questions. And we're looking to do quite a big group, which starts on the 7th. So we'll have different types of people. We've got a hedge funder who is going to be our trading instructor, which is one of my close friends. And I think he's on this call, actually. I hope he is. My business partner, Jude Emmanuel, he's a portfolio manager and a trader for 20 years, and he runs a hedge fund. So this guy's like the finance guy. So he's going to be going through technical analysis with us, which is such an important thing when it comes to, even as a basic trader and basic investor, you need to understand how to read a chart. You need to know when to come into the market and when is likely the best time to exit. So we're going to teach that during this particular course. You'll get limited access to myself and the instructor, and also some really cool bonuses We've packed this course, especially this one, full of value to help people go from a newbie, somebody who doesn't know anything about cryptocurrency, to be able to participate and find these golden nuggets. And that's really what we're going to be concentrating on. So this is a breakdown of the weeks. Week 1, we do the class overview. Week 2, we look at security. It's a massive thing, setting up wallets, offline paper wallets for the different types of cryptocurrencies, especially the altcoins. We look at mining cryptocurrencies for profit. The trading is broken down into 2 major sessions where we look at the fundamentals. So looking at, okay, what would we look at as in a currency to determine its value in the cryptocurrency ecosystem? Because, a lot of us will throw money at cryptocurrencies, but we don't really know if they're going to pop or if they're going to become valuable, because we're not really understanding the fundamentals of what make a cryptocurrency valuable. So this course really goes more into that on this occasion. And then we have the action plan, where we're going to come up with key steps. One thing about starting with cryptocurrency is great to start, but it's the ongoing journey of really kind of saying, okay, how do I grow? When am I going to buy? When am I going to sell? What are my entry points? Most people will not have an exit strategy. Even if Bitcoin went up to 100 grand a coin, like, you want to know that, okay, as soon as it hits this, I'm selling. If you put in £1,000, you might say, right, I want 300% or 400%. As soon as you hit that, you should be exiting, because that's how investors work. That's how you make profit. So we cover all this and really help you guys get started on the class. Now, I charge 5 grand to do private sessions with me. I do, because I can. I'm not going to charge you guys that. And I'm not even going to really go into charge you in 4-figure realm. This course, and today only, for anyone who buys or books the course for today, instead of paying $597, you'll get it for $297. Okay. So if you want to join, and I'm also going to put something else in as well. For my BitMoguls who have done my other courses but didn't do anything related to trading and want to get some specific trading, because you won't need to necessarily do the wallets, you won't need to necessarily do the mining stuff, because we've gone through that. But if you want to really get into the technicals of trading with my trader and my hedge fund manager, Manny, then come into this course. You won't need to pay the $297. It will be $97 for all my previous BitMoguls, but this will go into the crux of trading. So you guys are more than welcome to join for the $97. It starts on the 7th of March. That's when we will kick off. But for the rest of you who are new, who want to understand like the different types of wallets or the mining and do the in-depth training with us, it's $297. And as I said, if you book today, not only that, I will also give you the opportunity, and this is for anyone who books, if you want to invite a partner, cousin, friend, or family member free of charge, you can do that. So you pay the one fee, but you are more than welcome to bring somebody else, or you can sell it on someone else, but you can also bring a second person into the group, into the mastermind at no additional cost. So there's extra value there. We want to train as many people as possible to understand how to profit from cryptocurrencies, how to use cryptocurrencies, how to trade and invest without losing, and really maximizing what we've got. Okay, guys? So the offer is there. Please click on the link if you want to participate. We do start on the 7th. And, guys, if you've got any questions, please connect with me in the group. You can still leave questions at the bottom if you have any questions about the masterclass or the mastermind. The details are on the, or they should have popped up, but I will also send you them via email. And for everybody who did stay, please check your inbox. I see it's like 25 of you who are on here. So I'm going to send you the cheat sheets, a checklist of the basics of what you need to do for and now analyzing a cryptocurrency. And this is really valuable, really a tool that I believe you all should use when you're looking at investing in any cryptocurrency. So you will all get a copy of that in your inbox, okay? So guys, that is all for my emergency briefing today. I hope you guys got value from that. And I hope to see my new Bit Moguls. Those of you who are going to join us on the 7th, I hope to see you guys there. And I look forward to working with you all. And thank you very much again for all joining. Have a good evening. Bye.